Hello, and thank you once again for tuning in to the 30-Day Mental Diet. Today, we are at day number 10, and today's lesson is entitled, You Always Succeed, and the subheading is called, It is Impossible to Fail. And as usual, we'll go right into the study. We'll go into the introduction to the study, and let us pick apart some nuggets of truth out of this chapter. Strange as it may sound, strange as it sounds, it is impossible for you to fail. For if you fail, you have succeeded in being a failure. What is success? For the most part, people feel that they are a success in an endeavor when it has a favorable outcome, and a failure when it is not accomplished. But this is not necessarily true. Closer consideration will show that success is the achievement of the dominant idea you have in mind, and what you achieve always corresponds to your thinking. In this respect, you never fail. You always succeed. Whether the outcome of your endeavor is favorable or unfavorable does not enter into the matter. Okay, so we're going right in. We just finished a chapter, and we learn to remove limitations from our life. And now we realize when we remove limitations from our life and limitations from our thinking, that we will always succeed. And now we realize in this introduction, the heading just says, you always succeed. And I like what is put here in the introduction. It says, what you achieve always corresponds to your thinking. In this respect, you never fail. You always succeed. So what are you thinking? Sometimes when I was working, sometimes somebody did something that was really silly. And somebody would turn to them and say, what were you thinking? I'm sure that you have done something once and somebody has turned to you and said, what were you thinking? And you might have realized at that time, maybe you were in a confused state. Maybe you were not thinking right at the time. Maybe you were in an emotional state and you weren't thinking rationally. But the results was whatever manifested in your world, the results that manifested in your world was a direct result of your thinking. And everyone else that asked you, what were you thinking? They realized that too. They realized that thinking right will give you right results. But thinking confused, wrong think will bring you negative results, or results that you just don't want. Okay, let's move down. The start of success. Insomuch as you always succeed in experiencing the content of your thought, it becomes a matter of vital concern as to what you are thinking, just like we just said. It is a matter of elementary logic that you cannot experience health if your thoughts are of ill health. You cannot have friends if you dislike people. That you cannot have a profitable business if you consistently know it's going to fail. Of course, there are many variations in the way you can think. For instance, you can spend all of your time thinking about ill health, or divide it up so that half of the time you think about ill health and the other half you think about good health. Now, this is a good introduction, and I want you to think about situations you may have in the past. And in the book of Job, when Job lost his health, he lost his family, he lost his wife, he lost all his wealth also. He said, "The thing I feared has come upon me." So in the back of his mind, he might have had success around him all the time, but he was always afraid of failure or of poverty. And he was always afraid that something bad would have happened to his family. And he was a fearful man that his wife might leave him. And the things that he feared, the calamity came upon him. And that's what happens sometimes. Half of the time, sometimes we're thinking about good things, and other times we're thinking about bad things, and we're wishy-washy. And we get that type of results in our life. We get a so-so result, or as the Chinese say, mama hoo-hoo. So it's sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but you never seem to make the progress straight up, success all the time. And sometimes when we experience things like this, we think when somebody has a breakthrough in their life, or they are successful in a certain endeavor, we say, oh, they're so lucky. No, they have focused their mind upon a certain results, and the thought had to manifest in their world. And when people fail, many a times you would realize that they were afraid of failing, afraid of a negative result in whatever endeavor they were out trying to do, and the thing they feared came upon them. So sometimes we have to really sit back and check our minds, and that's one of the reasons why you would hear me say from time to time that you must take time to meditate. Take time to be quiet and watch the thoughts that come across your mind. If situations arise, do not react right away. Stop and take a step back and observe your thoughts about the situations that confront you on a daily basis. And ask yourself, what am I thinking? Am I thinking right? Am I choosing the right thoughts to dwell on? Okay, let's move forward. For instance, you can spend all your time thinking of ill health, or divide it up so that half of the time you think about ill health and the other half about good health. There only remains for you to decide in what way you want to succeed, what you want to have become your experience. So you will find that successful people are people that decide that they're only going to dwell on the results that they want. And they're going to close their eyes and their mind. And when I say that, their eyes, or their visual faculties of their mind, they're going to turn away from any other thought contrary to the results that they want. Okay. Success is automatic. Your thought is the pattern, the form, the channel for the creative action of the law of mind to produce tangible situations, conditions, and experiences that correspond to your thought. Remember, we spoke a few lessons earlier about your thought, your consistent pattern of thought, creating a mold into your physical world. So when we have fleeting thoughts, but we have patterns of thought that are constant. And if we hold that constant vision and constant thought on good health, we will find that we will start to be motivated to do things to establish good health. And if you have your mind constantly focused on success in business, you will find doors open and ways and means come to you that will make your business a success. By holding the pattern of thought on the result that you want to see, a mold is created in your world. Remember, we said earlier that God only does one thing, and that is create. You, being made in the image and likeness of God, are responsible for one thing, and that is to create. And you create through the pattern of your thought. So constantly ask yourself, what am I thinking? Okay, let's go down. They are obviously good when your thoughts are good. But when they are not, it is a difficult situation to face, but face it you must. Your only solution is to make certain that you keep your thinking under control. Entertain only those ideas which have a good content. And we spoke about this in the last lesson, and when we were talking about removing limitations. And I said to you that we have to be careful on the thoughts that we entertain and the thoughts that we let come across our minds. One of the great writers in the Christian church, Ellen G. White, wrote that you should guard well the portals to your mind. This is why from time to time you will hear me tell you on your 30-day mental diet, you should just turn off media. Or if you can't turn off media 100%, well, you should pick a certain amount of time and say, okay, I will only listen to a half an hour or 10 minutes of media or news, and that's it for the day. Control the thoughts that are taking up the dominant time of your day. You have 24 hours in a day. 8 hours of that day you are sleeping, so the rest of those hours you are awake. And in those waking hours, and even in your sleeping hours, thoughts are constantly coming across your mind. And sometimes you will find that if you have something that dominated your mind in the day, in your waking hours, when you go to sleep, you will dream about that thing that had dominated your mind in your waking hours. So why not choose success in your waking hours so that in your sleeping hours you can dream and visualize that success? The Bible says in the Song of Solomon that at night that God visits men, well, and women too, on their beds at night in their dreams. So really, the thinker, we spoke about this, the infinite thinker, from the first lesson, the infinite thinker that we think about, that's constantly thinking all day, visits us at night in our dreams, in our beds. So sometimes we may have a question or that we want answered in our waking hours. And because we're not hearing the voice of God well, We're not hearing the infinite voice of God in our waking hours. He visits us in our sleep. What are you thinking? Let's move forward. Success insurance. One of the toughest things you can ever have to do is to stand guardian over what you establish as your consistent patterns of thinking. Yet it is the most important thing you can ever do. You alone have the responsibility of determining what you are going to think, and in this responsibility rests the nature of your success. So that's it. We have a stream of thoughts that comes to our mind. Anytime you sit in meditation, your mind will drift. If you sit quietly, your mind will drift. If you sit anywhere and you hear a radio, a television, or the computer going, or some music blasting, or the people over there talking, your mind is always judging those thoughts and taking in those thoughts. You have to stand guard over those thoughts that you dwell on, and you let create a mold in your life. Those thoughts that are consistent. Stand guard. Choose only the thoughts that help you to reach your goals and your visions. Okay. I'm going down to the last paragraph. Start all over again. Regardless of what unfavorable ways you may have succeeded in the past, they have no hold on you once you decide to start to succeed in a favorable way. Every thought is the start of a new sequence of events, and you can have them be to your liking. Each moment is a new beginning. So start now to succeed in the things that make life a joyful, happy experience. So your life, our life, is being built. Our future, we had said before, is being created thought by thought. Do not resist this idea. Embrace this idea during the 30-day mental diet. There is nothing outside of you that can affect your world. Where you are is the center of the universe and is a tranquil place. It's a place of peace. And you are the one that's going to make sure your world stay peaceful by guarding over the thoughts that you entertain daily. Our mental stimulus from the scientist Democritus says, just as tragedy and comedy can be written using the same letters, so many varied events in this world can be realized by the same atoms as long as they take up different positions and describe different movement. So the same atoms create good things and bad things or ill things in your world. The same atoms and the same thought that we entertain to give us food and comfort and rest and love and success is the same thoughts that will create ill health, poverty, distress in our life. We have to choose which one we're going to entertain. It's the same atoms. Remember, we said in the previous lessons that the great I am, you, with your word, have control of the atoms in the universe. Your word proceeding from your mouth controls the atoms in the universe, which creates your world. Let's go down. I'm reading from religion, Isaiah 55:11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Your word goes from your mouth, and it must bring back to you what you spoke, because it is a law, and it is a natural law. And God cannot violate his own laws. What are you thinking? Constantly ask yourself that question, because you always succeed in getting what you're thinking about. Let us read the diet together. Today, from this moment on, I determine to succeed only in those things which are worthy, beneficial, and provide the greatest good. I let go of all ideas and concepts which are contrary to the good life I desire to live. Whether it be in relation to my health, those about me, or my affairs, I establish now in my mind ideas embodying the way I desire things to be. I consistently maintain these ideas and let nothing sway my conviction that they represent my experience as it is to become. I am rightly guided in establishing and maintaining those patterns of thoughts that correspond to the nature of God, which is good. I refuse to let myself be influenced by negative conditions and situations. I know that the creative action of the law of mind manifests in tangible form the content of my thought. Therefore, I let my thought dwell on things of benefits to myself and others, and I now expect only good things to happen to me as I establish in my mind a pattern of thinking that accepts only good as my experience. This is what comes into being. I now succeed only in those things which are good. Very, 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 very good diet today. We only succeed in those things which are good. And because our thoughts are good, we are going to have good results. The capsule supplement. Success is always mine, and I now determine and declare that my thoughts, the patterns of my success, shall be like the thoughts of God, which are only good. Very good lesson today. And once again, like I said, if you like this material, please give us a thumbs up, and I would love to hear your comments down below. And I will see you again tomorrow on the 30-Day Mental Diet.